أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري واشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we will continue our discussion on the verses of Surah At-Tur, and this is about how Quran is bringing counter-arguments to several arguments or ideologies of disbelief. We have been studying this text, I guess, for the last 2 to 3 weeks. But there are multiple verses in here. And last week, the last part we studied was these 2 verses, or were they created of nothing, or were they themselves the creators? So we talked about them. So inshallah, this week, I would like to pick it up from the verse number 36. And we are, just for the record, we are studying 25th word, first light, first ray. And we came to the very end of first ray. So the verse that we are going to pick it up is 36, which goes as, so in 35 it was أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ, or were they created out of nothing, or are they themselves the creators? And verse number 36, which says, أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ أَمْ خَلَقُوا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ بَلْ لَا يُوقِنُونَ, or did they create the heavens and the earth? In fact, they are not certain. And within the text, it says, or did they create the heavens and the earth? No, they have no firm belief. And the author's interpretation for this verse, or like the mindless, confused Mu'attila who denied God all attributes and denied the Creator. Do they deny God so that they do not heed the Quran? Do they deny God so that they do not heed the Quran? Is this the reason that they don't take Quran seriously, because they say we don't believe in God in the first place? In which case, let them deny the existence of the heavens and the earth, or let them say, we created them. Let them lose their minds altogether and begin uttering the frenzied ravings of lunacy. For in the heavens, as many proofs of divine unity are apparent and are recited as the stars, and on the earth as many as the flowers. That means they have no intention of acquiring certain knowledge and finding the truth. Otherwise, how do they suppose to be without inscriber the book of the universe, in one word of which is written a whole book, although they know that a letter cannot exist without the one who wrote it? Okay. So while you are thinking, I will think out loud. So inshallah, I will share what I understand briefly, and I will be looking into hearing you. So, or did they create the heavens and the earth? And again, within the context of these bunch of verses, the idea was there is this challenging of the messenger in terms of the scripture being speech of God, and the arguments were following. So one after the other. So now we are at a point in which Quran says, those who challenge you to the messenger, or in general, we can take it as the messengerhood, because messenger being irrelevant or just a liar makes automatically makes the revelation, disqualifies revelation from being speech of God. So if then there's such a thing, such a attitude towards revelation, so Quran says it might be, or I'm reading it as such, their motivation might be that they think creation of heavens and the earth, is it them they did this, or who is it that does it? Is it without any doer? Is it they themselves who did it? So such questions are important, I think, because sometimes we say some words which doesn't mean anything really, but since it fills the void, we feel like as if we explained something. So either we say, well, it happens, as we have denied before, we have studied before in the previous week, or we say, well, it emerges, as we discussed last week. So as if there are some mouthful of words in there, but do they really mean anything? So this is why asking such simple, apparently simple questions makes us face our truth. What did we mean in the first place? Or does it make sense? What we say, does it really make sense? Does it really answer some questions about, in our case, revelation being speech of God, prophet being messenger of God? So in here, there is this mindset which denies the creator, who denied God all attributes and denied the creator. So in such a mindset, this being the motivation, like creator not existing, or there is some sort of a creator, a distant creator, but there are, like in terms of attributes of the creator, there are a lot of problems. It might be in my perception, I can say that, well, I cannot deny a superpower, but like he is forcing me or he is torturing me. So in such cases, I am denying attributes of the creator. So in such a case, when Quran is put in front of me, I even say to the extent that, why would God be busy with me, or such a God like speaking? These are very distant things. These might be my motivation for not even taking the mentioning of or the possibility of speech of God or God addressing me. So in this case, what happens is, at least the author in here is saying that, in which case, let them deny the existence of the heavens and the earth, or let them say we created them. So in here, I would like to hear your opinions about what does it mean that denying existence of the heavens and the earth? Okay, for earth, is it possible, or is there anyone who claims that earth does not exist? Or is this just a rhetorical question? Or are there really people who claim that they themselves are creating the earth, or the earth does not exist? This is one question. A second, maybe a tougher question is, what does it mean to deny the existence of heavens? And what does it mean that in here, Quran is challenging us with saying that, did they create the heavens? So what is heavens? So these are some questions that I have. And I keep reading, and if you have any ideas, I would be happy to hear. So in which case, let them deny the existence of the heavens and the earth. So if they deny God, then they should be denying the existence of the heavens and the earth, or let them say we created them. Let them lose their minds altogether and begin uttering the frenzied ravings of lunacy. Start speaking totally nonsensical. Then the author starts explaining his reasoning for why he is identifying such a statement as lunacy. Because in the heavens, as many proofs of divine unity are apparent and are recited as the stars, and on the earth, as many as the flowers. For in the heavens, as many proofs of divine unity are apparent and are recited as the stars, and on the earth, as many as the flowers. That means they have no intention of acquiring certain knowledge and finding the truth. So as if the author says, the proofs of oneness of the Creator is as many as number of stars and flowers. If you look, so that you are looking at multiplicity, there are multiple entities you look at, but all of them declare the same thing, that there is one Creator. Is that so? Is going to be my question. And then the author challenges, otherwise, how do they suppose to be without inscriber the book of the universe? So seeing the book, how do they suppose that this book of universe doesn't have a writer and inscriber? So in one word of which is written a whole book, and then he is describing the universe as a book, and again makes another interesting analogy, saying that within that book of universe, there are some words in which is written another whole book. Whatever that means, I would be happy to hear your insights. Although they know that a letter cannot exist without the one who wrote it. So Aziz, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I have a very quick idea, or not idea, just like a thought that I wanted to share about this. They have no firm belief. So, for me, when I think about creating the heavens and earth of a single day of my life, or of my reality, it's really comforting if I lean on, okay, yes, I don't create this. I am given these things in a form of a way to teach me how to go on in life, or whatever we want to name it, ni'mah or not. But even when I try, so I think what is lacking is that firm belief. Like when I create something, or when I think I create something beautiful, or I came up with a great idea, do I really get to that firm belief that this is not mine, that these things are given to me? So I just want to share that, about that no firm belief. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khairan. So not having a firm belief. So not having a firm belief might be because we are unsure, I guess, as this is what I understand from what you are saying. So I think like I created something, I came up with an idea, but how sure I am about this statement of mine, I guess this is one thing. But on the other hand, when I say I created something, or I guess most of the time we are oblivious to who makes it. We have no firm belief, meaning we say that I want to turn my back to the creator of heavens and the earth, but I don't want to give an answer to the question of who made it. As if it's being hidden behind some vague words. This is generally my experience. So in the academic sense of the word, we generally say it is made, or it occurs, or I mean, all these sorts of vague terminology is, you can find them in the discussion sections of papers. Generally, it's very vague terminology. Sometimes it is behind the some laws are doing, or sometimes it's chance is doing. But we don't really know what a law is, what chance is, or whether they can do anything or not. So there's this vagueness. We hide behind these vagueness. And when it comes to myself, maybe I am most sure among all these things to say that I came up with this idea. But deep inside, if I don't hide behind day-to-day activities like this, running behind fast life, and if I be honest to myself, sit down and think about it, I will also realize that I didn't come up with the idea. The idea came to me, I would say, to be more honest. But generally, again, I am either escaping from asking such questions, because once I ask such questions, I will realize that I don't have a clear answer to any of those questions. And in here, I guess the creator is making me face my reality. So are you the one who created the heavens and the earth then? Because the speech is, in a sense, the author is presenting the matter as universe is a book, and book is a speech in the written form. And what we are right now questioning is whether Quran is speech of God. So think about the creation as a book, and it is written. So who wrote this? If it is not me, as if the creator says, if you deny the existence of an inscriber, of an author of this existence, then who wrote that book of existence? Is it you? Or what is it? Come up with an answer to that question. Do you deny God? Because I guess denying scripture is also, or maybe primarily, because denial of the creator. There is no speaker. There is no inscriber. But this verse is saying that, aren't you denying your own experience? Don't you see that the heavens and the earth are created within an order? And as the author puts in here, just look at the stars. And looking at the stars also means, or should mean, the way that they are being made, they are being manifested within perfect order. I would observe that the order tells about an orderer. So there must be someone who puts them into order. And every single one of them, relative to the rest of the stars, each one of them staying in a position that doesn't violate the order, because none of them are in the vacuum. So every single one of the stars, by their position relative to the rest of the stars, is in a sense saying that whoever keeps me within an order in my current position must be the one who is putting all the rest within their position. So this is why every single star, there are as many proofs of divine unity, meaning that our maker is one and only, as many as there are stars. And the same applies to flowers on earth or animals on earth, because again, nothing in this existence is in a way that we can think of them in the vacuum. This is what we do in the laboratory. We try to investigate things in the vacuum. We isolate it from its environment. We try to remove everything and just look at a thing from a single perspective. But this is not how it is happening in the universe. So there are countless many connections of every single entity with the rest of the universe. So, and them functioning as they are, highlight that the one, first of all, I'm not able to sustain myself, and nothing around me, because they are equally needy as I am, nothing around me is able to sustain me either. So my sustainer must be the sustainer of everything in this existence. This is what each flower would say. observing that reality, living in that reality, how come you deny a creator, and how come that there is such a creator which is manifesting all over the place, and the existence is his speech? You say that such a creator would not speak. He is already talking to you in one way. And to address your need of learning and understanding, wouldn't he talk to you, the one who created your consciousness, your understanding? Wouldn't he talk to your understanding also? So I think this one, asking those questions and the way it leads me to those answers makes me land on a firm conviction. But in the absence of these, I realize that mouthful of words that I put for supposedly describing the phenomena in this existence is just lack of certainty. I think this is why it's not possible really to be sure about unbelief or denial. How can you be sure about denying something? How can you prove denial? So I guess by its nature, this denial is based on speculation or conjectures, but no conviction, no yaqeen in there, in the verse. أم خلقوا السماوات والأرض بل لا يوقنون. بل لا يوقنون. Yep. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, let me see the name list. Okay. Okay, it looks like people are warming up. So let me go with the next one. And I'm seeing some names in there who knows Arabic. Maybe they can help with me with one word in here. So أم خلقوا السماوات والأرض بل لا يوقنون. So if Nazmul can help me with بل لا يوقنون over here, does it say anything to you about like بل لا يوقنون? Do they, in fact, they are not certain? Is this because it's a verb? So is it like they do not have conviction, like certainty, or they can never have certainty, like the way that is being spoken in here? Does it remind you anything special? Like in terms of how it is being said linguistically?
Yeah, Assalamu
Walaikum.
yeah, so I guess the one thing that stands out to me is it's in the present tense. So, and it's in the present tense and negating. So if it was in the past tense, it would be like, you know, they basically made a decision not to believe, but or not to be certain. But in the present tense, I guess it talks about more of a state, right? Like they're not certain about anything. So like whatever they come across, they're just simply always skeptical. And
Okay. So then maybe this also points to the fact that denial by definition can never reach certainty. Yaqeen is not possible for this state of denial of the creator.
yeah, and I guess like it speaks more to like the method of the philosophers where, you know, the default state is just denial, right? So it's questioning every type of certainty possible till the point where, you know, there is no certainty.
Okay. Aziz?
Yeah, Yusuf, I just don't think it has anything to do with the future that they will never believe. I just wanted to add that I don't think that it's implying anything about the future. As The other brother said it seems like a present thing.
Yeah, Jazakallah khairan. And when I was meaning by definition, so I'm not in here talking about a person being able to do this or that in the sense that the ability of a person, but the attitude itself, as long as somebody sticks to that attitude of denying the creator. So denial of the creator comes with, like within the package, comes uncertainty, because it's not something that's provable. So you have to stay in the foggy realm of uncertainty. And when such questions, actually, the one as this is being asked by the verse in here, is making you realize that you don't have an answer to that question. Are you the one that creates heavens and the earth? Don't you see that they are being created? So this is what I was trying to say. And Suhail said, certain about uncertainty, which is self-contradictory. Suhail says, yes, that's right. So the only thing or the only aim is to be uncertain. Yeah, Nazmul?
Yeah, there's a interesting quote that I heard some time ago that the only thing we can know is that we don't know anything, which like if we take it has some wisdom in that statement, but if we take it too literally, then we certainly end up in that state.
Yeah, that's right. But I guess it's maybe in the connotation of that word, it's not meant to be literal, but in the sense of denial not being proven or cannot be proved anyways. This is an important statement. And by the way, I am speaking as if this is agreed upon. Is there any like comments about this statement, like denial or non-existence of the creator can never be proven, or it's clear to everyone? Okay, it looks clear to everyone. Oh, Suhail, please go ahead, Suhail.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you go back to the verse for a second? What's interesting about this verse, if you think about, I'm just talking about from the perspective of somebody who's like, engrossed in sort of scientism, which is honestly permeates through the rest of society. But the idea that, this world just, exists on its own, or what's happening in this world or what I'm experiencing just happens to be. And it's one thing I took away from this verse is that no one can escape, even if you have no certainty, which, as you said, I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Well, you can't have any certainty about denial because it's not real. But nobody can deny that not only do things exist, but that they must be given existence. That's what create means, to come into being from a state of non-being. Everybody knows that. It's so obvious. And so to escape the necessary reality or necessary truth that, who I am or what the universe is, what all things look to, what all things point to or are signs to a necessarily existent one that's beyond this universe, beyond the nature of space and time, beyond the nature of the heavens and the earth, as the Quran is saying here, heavens and the earth. It's so powerful and so obvious, and so clear and so certain that one is always trying to run away from that truth. So it's inescapable because it's already implicit everywhere that things need to be created, whether they're happening by themselves or by something else. But no one can deny that. So denial is simply just trying to find a way or come up with an excuse to say, well, I can't be certain about anything, and that's my certainty. Never asking the question, the fact that you are certain about that means that you are trying to come to some sort of conclusion. You're talking about some sort of truth out there. And that truth is that things are being created. So it's the verse to me is almost circular in that regard, in that it ties the first part to the second part, because no one, it's the if you can't acknowledge the fact that things are being given existence, well, I mean, people acknowledge it, but if you try to run away from it, then you won't find any certainty anywhere. It's impossible because there's no other truth other than that.
Yeah, Jazakallah khairan. Beautiful. Farah, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to just share something that I learned through these discussion circles. It was from the 7th ray, in which there was a detailed discussion in the beginning about the nature of denial. And I found that explanation actually very helpful. And perhaps it could be relevant for here. But very succinctly, like I won't, the only point that I would like to make about that is that it talked about that denial, when it is a particularized denial, for example, saying that, there is no, let's say, fork in this room in the evening, that can be proved. But something on the nature of a large scale, like a universal scale, to say that there is no fork, for example, that cannot be proved. And so I guess the existence of the creator, if someone can, for example, in a particular moment, in a particular space, prove that there is no creator, they would have proved it for that particular time. But in order for them to make a yaqeen statement, let's say a certain statement, they'd have to prove it in every moment, in all times, before they were alive, after they were dead, in all spaces that exist, which is impossible. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, Jazakallah khairan. Very, very beautiful point. Yes. Actually, that part in the introduction of 7th ray very beautifully puts that denial cannot be proven. At best, you would just be ignorant, or if you are an insisting unbeliever, you have to prove it. So practically what's happening is we hide behind words, or we hide behind titles, or such and such professor is saying, so it must be true. Or there are, like, if I might not be a professor, but I might be that, oh, look at all those universities. For them, there's no God, and they are the ones that are going to the Mars. So the ones who say about God is just people who are not going anywhere beyond local masjid. So who is smarter, who sounds more cool, who is more truer as it's like on the surface. So therefore they must be true. I might hide behind such reasons, but otherwise there is no way that unbelief or denial can be proved. And there's not a proof anyways. So it's just lack of certainty. So the certainty is not possible in such a case. Jazakallah khairan. So I continue with the next verse. أم عندهم خزائن ربك أم هم المسيطرون. Oh, you can't raise the hand. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. I apologize for being late. I was wrestling with my daughter to get the ownership of the tablet. She also claimed So the one thing I like to comment on, which says that means they have no intention of acquiring certain knowledge and finding the truth. They have no intention. So, like when it comes to proving something or disproving something, it's like usually we do not, like at least I do not much into this enterprise, right? Like I don't find myself most of the time trying to prove or disprove something. If especially it is related to a phenomenon which I'm not that much interested in, like whether it's I don't know, like the black holes, you know, radiate some certain wavelengths or not. I wouldn't care even, you know, whether it is true or not, whether I can prove it or disprove it. So it needs an intention. It needs an interest in the subject. When it comes to, you know, talking about the firm belief or any kind of belief, it, I guess, starts with an interest and intention. And again, this interest and intention is usually there when, you know, what we are talking about somehow relates to our life. And I guess for this reason, author, when interpreting this verse, they create the heavens and the earth. He says, for in the house, let them say we created them, or let them deny the existence of heavens and the earth. So it seems from these explanations, the heavens and the earth are not something that we can stay disinterested, that we can stay neutral. And you know, who cares who created heavens or the earth? That's not possible to say. That who cares? Because we live in heavens and the earth. This is our entire life. And these heavens and the earth also, they do not let us alone. They do not just, you know, leave us alone and let us, you know, live our life. Although, you know, I know this is paradoxical, but just trying to, you know, sketch a funny picture. The heavens and the earth constantly bugging us. Oh, we can look at this. Oh, we can look at that. Right? For in the heavens, as many proofs of divine unity are apparent and are recited as the stars, and on the earth as many as the flowers. You know, one day you are so disinterested, so I don't know, bored, like you don't care about anything. You just step on the street, like go outside, and all the flowers, all those flowers starting popping out, like from everywhere. So it doesn't let you alone. Like there is always something happening there. There is always something screaming for your attention. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. You know, oh, flower. Oh, star is coming. Oh, look at the, you know, the weather. It's cold. Oh, it's raining now. There's always something happening. So it is not possible for a human being that being neutral. You either hate it, you either like it, right? You find it, you know, sad, or you find it very happy, joyful, but there's always a connection between you and the heavens and the earth, the existence, in its at its different level. So the author is talking about that they have no intention of acquiring certain knowledge. So their intention is somewhere else. While everything happening, their intention is somewhere else. And their intention, if it was acquiring certain knowledge and finding the truth, they wouldn't start with denying their own experiences. All these flowers, all these stars, all these, the children, the wind, the rain, everything that you experience bugging you to tell you something. And if you have an intention acquiring a certain knowledge or the truth, finding the truth, then you would start with your own experiences. That's something that you are certain with. But this is not what we do, right? We deny them. We do not care about them. We just ignore them and try to find the truth somewhere else. Usually made up, the universe is made up, the ideas. So if your intention was finding the truth, then you would start from yourself. You would start from what you experience. And when you start from there, the creation will not let you alone. It will scream at you, the truth that you are looking for. Jazakallah khairan.
Thank you, Brother Birkan. And although very simple, this last statement is, I just wanted to remind ourselves about this. I think it's pretty simple, but how do they supposed to be without inscriber the book of the universe, although they know that a letter cannot exist without the one who wrote it? So this is quite a simple of a thing. So I was just looking at these cave paintings, for instance. So people go to a cave, they realize that there are such paintings over the wall of a cave. They immediately start thinking that like these shapes, they are meaningful shapes, so there must be some conscious human beings who draw them. So they make statements about this, saying that this belongs to 30,000, 40,000 years ago and whatnot. So, and this is the most logical thing to think about those paintings. When it comes to the existence in which I enjoy sunrise, the clouds, the rain, the food, everything, not taking it as a meaningful text or meaningful inscription, and just ignoring that there must be an author, because this text is being written. It's not written once upon a time, but it is being written right now. So how come that I suppose there is no writer, inscriber of this text? So this very simple thing, as I'm living through it, as I'm enjoying it 24/7 already, I guess, as Brother Birkan was saying, can be only explained with, I do not have the intention to make sense of it. This is why I'm not, because otherwise it's so obvious. And in everything else, I'm already applying such a logic. But the only explanation for my taking such an attitude in here is because I don't want to. So, yeah. Let's continue with the next verse. Or are the treasuries of your sustainer with them? أم عندهم خزائن ربك أم هم المسيطرون? And the next part is, or are they managers of affairs? So we will read these two paragraphs together. Or are the treasuries of your sustainer with them? Or like one group of misguided philosophers who denied Almighty God the power of choice? Or like Brahmins, do they deny the source of prophethood so that they do not believe in you? In which case, let them deny all the traces of wisdom and purpose, all the order and fruits which are apparent in all beings, and demonstrate will and choice. Let them deny all the works of mercy and grace, and all the miracles of all the prophets. Or let them say, all the treasuries of the bounties given to creatures are with us and under our control. Let them prove they are not fit to be addressed. If they say so, they will prove that they are not fit to be addressed. Do not be grieved at their denial. Say, God's unreasoning animals are many. This one was the first part, عِندَهُمْ خَزَائِنُ رَبِّكَ. And the next part, أَمْ هُمُ الْمُسَيْطِرُونَ. Or are they the managers of affairs? Or like the arrogant Mutazilites who made the reason dominant, do they imagine themselves to be rivals to an inspector of the Creator's works and want to hold the all-glorious Creator responsible? Beware, do not lose heart. Nothing can come of the denials of self-centered people like that. Nothing can come out of the denials of self-centered people like that. You do not be deceived either. Okay, so interesting, two verses or two sentences, one verse, but two sentences here. Okay, so the first part, again, slowly I'm going through it with my own pace, but please chime in. Or are the treasuries of your sustainer with them? Okay. So it's interesting that although the verse is talking about treasuries of sustainer, the author starts talking about choice of the Creator. How did he establish the connection? Is it still a question mark for me? Let's think about it together. Or like one group of misguided philosophers who denied Almighty God the power of choice, or like the Brahmins, do they deny the source of prophethood so that they do not believe in you? So two things being mentioned in author's explanation. One is God not having choice, and the second one is prophethood is being denied. So yes, Nazmul, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the connection here is that prophethood or any type of ni'mah, like blessing, is one of the things from the khaza'in, right? The treasures of God. So if you deny that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has any choice about the things that happen in the world, then what you're saying is, you know, like if you acquire blessing, then it was you who did it, not necessarily that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that choice. So I think that's the connection there. Or if you deny the choice, you're saying that, like for example, the Hebrews are essentially superior to everybody else. It's not a choice that Allah made, but rather it's just the way that existence is. The Hebrews are the best. So you must have a prophet from the Hebrews. You can't have one from the Arabs. Or a similar logic, something like that. So I think that's where the connection is.
Yeah, so can we then say that like treasure of your Lord, so I am being provided and it's coming from a treasure, but as if I am taking it for granted that it has to be given to me. Because generally, if something is being given to me from a treasure, like if a king gives me a golden coin from his treasure to me, the treasure belongs to the king, and it's out of king's mercy and choice and will that king gives it to me. But if I go and say to the king, yeah, you have to give it to me in the first place, as if I'm challenging the king, or at the same time I'm denying the mercy of the creator, saying that, well, it was not possible otherwise, you would have to give it anyways. So this at the same time saves me from being thankful to the king also, because he didn't do anything. It was as if he had to do it. He couldn't help but do it. So I guess treasuries of my sustainer being with me implies that I am denying that it is something to be thanked for. So I guess in the discussions, the other word that we keep using for that is taking it for granted. It was have to be like that. So I guess in this case, denying Almighty God the power of choice. But do we do that? I guess we can also ask that question, consciously or unconsciously. Do we deny God having power of choice? What does that practically mean? So why you are thinking, or are you thinking about this? Okay, no hands so far. So maybe what might be happening is, okay, so here says, can you repeat the question? So do we practically deny Almighty God the power of choice? Or is this only some philosophers are saying that, well, it has to happen like that? Or is this statement a relevant statement for our day-to-day activities? Like, do we say it has to happen like that? Or unknowingly, yes, Ryan says. Would you like to elaborate that with maybe some examples?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and anyone can be a misguided philosopher, or as he goes on to say later on, an arrogant Mu'tazilite. I mean, these aren't really people out there. Those people are just like are me as well. There's no really any difference. So, and whether it's the issue is whether I'm conscious of the position I'm taking. I guess I'm unknowingly doing it when really, like every day in life, when I decide to eat something, I take for granted my hunger or my enjoyment of food or the pleasure I get from it, or from the food itself, or for the fact that, when I do something, if I'm in school and do well, I take that for granted as if it has something to do with me. Or if somebody's a parent, now there are parents here, but taking for granted the idea that I have something to do with who or what my child is or becomes. And yeah, I mean, human beings have a will, but where is Almighty God's will there? So it's, I mean, unknowingly, and the ego sort of wants to take control over the choices they make, especially the ones that they like, or the ones that turn out the way that they want that choice to turn out. But that's kind of what I took away from that. And the last thing I'll say is, once one does that, if it becomes knowing, then the road is slippery, in that it can lead to a point where you deny God's will over all things in this world. So it's just a step on that path.
Yes, Jazakallah khairan. So I guess in a sense, in my day-to-day activities, when I take things for granted as if it has to happen like that, I have like it has to rain, or I have to be successful, or as if it is unjust, or I'm not even thinking about it when something good happens. If I'm successful in my job and everything is going perfect, yeah, it just has to happen like that. When things start happening contrary to my expectation, then I start complaining again, as if why didn't it happen like this? Maybe I can even take this as a measure that my complaint against when things doesn't happen as I expected can be a measure that I was taking things for granted, as if God has to have it like this, or it was supposed to be like that. It was my right. It was not out of the mercy or the compassion, or it was not coming from the treasure. Simply, it's not mine, but it is being given to me. I guess these might be some hints that I might be following such a path. And I guess another way to think about this is because the author in here, let me see it again. Okay, so in another way, it is also that I might be believing in laws acting in the universe. And even there are certain people who deny miracles of messengers because they sort of think that gravity has to pull things down, and like trees behave as trees, stones behave as stones. This is how it has to be. But they are not by will of the creator. Like water behaves like water, fire behaves as fire. Just because the creator is willing at each and every instance of this creation for the fire to be burning and the water to be cool. So this is another way of denying God the power of choice, because these are the things that are being provided for those creation as well. Like the burning is being given to the fire each and every time from the treasury of sustainer. So this was for the part of denying Almighty God the power of choice. Now let's come to do they deny the source of prophethood so that they do not believe in you? He says. So I guess as Nazmul was saying at the beginning, in here the verse is mentioning about treasuries of your sustainer. So it's not talking about treasuries of this sustainer, of the sustainer of heavens and the earth, but he is also addressing you in here. And apparently the author has taken it as the messenger, because this is how the conversation started a few verses back. So he says, are they claiming that treasuries of your sustainer is with them? And as Nazmul was saying, the speech of the creator is also from the treasuries of my sustainer. He speaks to me. He is taking me serious and giving me these, like in this existence, I have tons of questions. I am concerned about so many things. And then you are concerned, then you are worried. Just hearing the voice of a friend who just talks to you in a calm voice and clearing away your worries, for example. These are very beautiful gifts, actually. Much, much more valuable than maybe that friend of yours giving you some money. So, and especially if those answers are truly saving you from trouble, then they are more valuable than gold anyways. So my sustainer speaking to me through messenger, and the messengerhood itself becomes such a valuable treasure in the first place. So we might be taking that for granted also, or we might be ignoring that altogether too. So I guess this is how author in here is talking about the prophethood being part of that treasure. And then he says, in which case, let them deny all the traces of wisdom and purpose, all the order and fruits which are apparent in all beings, and demonstrate will and choice. Let them deny all the works of mercy and grace, and all the miracles of all the prophets. Yeah, so at the end, he also tied the topic to the miracles of the prophets, which goes to both Almighty God having the power of choice, because this is something extraordinary, highlighting that each and every action was by choice. And this miracle is the choice in a different way. And also the prophets being sent is a mercy at the same time, mercy from the treasury of sustainer. So they have to deny all of these, or let them say all the treasuries of the bounties given to creatures are with us and under our control. Let them prove they are not fit to be addressed. If they say so, they would be proving that they're not fit to be addressed or taken seriously. Do not be grieved at their denial. Say, God's unreasoning animals are many. Okay. So alhamdulillah, was points were clarified for me. If any more comments, please go ahead. Or are they managers of affairs? So, or like the arrogant Mu'tazilites who made the reason dominant, do they imagine themselves to be rivals to and inspectors of the Creator's works and want to hold the all-glorious Creator responsible? Beware, do not lose heart. Nothing can come of the denials of self-centered people like that. Okay. So it's an interesting, like the way he interprets his explaining over Mu'tazilites. And Mu'tazilites is a school of thought which was kind of a reactionary to another school of thought, which was saying that, oh, everything is happening like this. We don't have any choices. I mean, I myself don't have a choice. So I just live in this life. I am meant to be a good man. I am meant to be a bad man. So there's no responsibility for me in the first place. But those people, Mu'tazilites, came up and say that, no, this doesn't make any sense at all. But as a reaction to that, then they started saying, no, we choose and also we create. The first group said, I don't have any choice, I don't have any responsibility. These guys started saying that, no, we choose and we create results of our choices. And they were like people that were thinking. So, but author in here is sort of criticizing them in terms of making reason as the ruler. Because in the original text, he says, aklı hakim yapan, hakim is the one that controls. In the translation, the translator said, who made the reason dominant, the one in the control, or putting it to the center. So in here, the author is saying that, are you putting yourself at a position to be rivals and inspectors of Creator's works and eventually want to hold the all-glorious Creator responsible? Yes, it's very shortly explained in here. So any comments about this? If you know anything about this ideology. But in the absence of details, I will keep talking about what I understand from here. while waiting for your hands. So, oh, good. Brother Birkan, please go ahead.
Selamun alaikum. I do not have any information, knowledge about this school of thoughts other than what you just explained. But I like to share some ideas, visiting my mind about this idea of will or choice. So here, in different contexts, the idea of notion of choice are, studied, or are the treasuries of your sustainer with them, or are they the managers of affairs? So talking about God's will, so by itself, it's a, I guess not only complicated, but also maybe misplaced discussion, misguided discussion. Like when it comes to many other attributes, we feel it is easy to say that, okay, we will start from the creation, and then from this creation, we will conclude about the source of creation, or the creator, we call. When it comes to the will of God, we usually directly go back to the God's perspective, and talking about God's willing something, God's choosing something. And when we do that, I guess it opens up the doors to many misconceptions, the problems. Like the other day, I was listening somebody, he was saying, assuming that God has a will also means you are assuming that he has some desires or preferences and so on, which wouldn't fit to Godhood, whatever it means. So this is just one example, of course. And what I'm trying to say, and the author here is talking about the treasuries of sustainer. And when he talks about these treasures, he's talking about the things that we see in the universe, in creation. He talks about the order, he talks about the wisdom, mercy, grace, wisdom, so purpose, right? We do observe these. The author is not talking about whether the creator has wisdom and the acting in a wise way or none. He's talking about the wisdom that we see in creation, and he says, okay, these cannot be anything but a sign to the wise one, the wise creator. I guess when it comes to choice and will, we should do the same and talk about the choices that we observe, that we experience in creation. And when I look at the creation, when I look at my life, I do observe certain choices are being made. And I do observe that some things are being, or everything are being creating out of a will. I see, for instance, alternatives. Even if there's only one, the actual outcome, I know that there are some other alternatives as well as a possibility, for instance. And talking about all these possibilities, all these alternatives, it shows me that I have this notion of a choice. When I see an outcome, come to play, like happens come into place, I think about it in like together with other alternatives. So whatever the topic is, I know that there's a choice there. A choice is being made. And I guess the first question and first discussion is whether we see these choices, whether we see this will in the creation or not. And once we, clarify that, I guess it is kind of straightforward then to attribute this choice or power of will to its rightful owner, to the source of the creation, to the source of these choices or the will. So again, it's about, I guess, it's not about trying to imagine a God willing over something or making a choice, preferring one thing over another thing, but realizing and experiencing, seeing that there's a preference in creation, there's a choice in creation. And if you are able to attribute this preference or choice to yourself, yeah, go ahead. If you can claim that you are the manager of affairs, just go ahead, yeah, do it. And then you will be, you will not be able to carry this weight. It will crush you, when you try to take this responsibility, try to attribute this power of will, the choice, or managing all these affairs to yourself. Yeah, if you can do it, do it, but you will not be able to. And that's what I understand from this part. Jazakallah khairan.
Jazakallah khairan. So the part about this taking myself as manager of affairs, here the author is talking about self-centeredness of that perspective, because I'm taking reason dominant, and I'm taking reason dominant, and I'm taking my reason to be a inspector and a rival to the maker, my maker. But still I'm not explicitly denying a creator, but I define my role as I define value to the things according to my reason, and then start like judging the creator based on that. So this I observe over here as the point, which might be at the basis of, for example, as we know about it, problem of evil, or like maybe not using that terminology for it, I see something is wrong in this existence. It might be some war, it might be me being mistreated by my boss, whatever. And instead of trying to understand the purpose behind this as what is meant, what does the inscriber, the speaker, the absolute speaker, like my creator, mean by this, I don't go in that direction, because in order to do that, I need to learn how does my creator speak? What is his style? What is his purpose in general? But I don't do that because this requires me moving. So I need to move. I cannot step and say that no, wherever I step is the center of the earth, and I'm going to interpret based on this point of view, but rather I am saying that I am limited. I admit that I need to learn how he talks. I need to get accustomed to his way of understanding, and I need to, at least at the very bare minimum, actually, maybe at the very core of all of this, I need to declare that I do not know, but I am being taught. And I want to get to know what he meant by this apparent ugliness that I'm going through, that I am observing. But I don't take this attitude, but rather I take, no, whatever I reason is the truth. So it's a matter of self-centeredness. It's not, in the problem in the first place is not reasoning about something, not reasoning about something, but the attitude behind that reasoning. I make exclusively reason dominant because it is my reason and what I reason is correct. If this is my attitude, then I start challenging the creator because I understand something when I look at some ugly thing. And then I say, oh, how dare God create such a thing? Because in my understanding of how I would design the universe, such a thing doesn't fit there. Then I start criticizing in my own way the creator of the universe. So as if this is what I am seeing in here in terms of managing the affair. Do I consider myself as managing the affairs? Suhail, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to touch on what you said and what Berkan said. I had to read this paragraph several times because I didn't quite understand what he was saying. But I think because I guess, if for those who know or don't know, but I think Yusuf touched up on about the Mu'tazila being historically being a theological group, reactionary. What is interesting is that the Mu'tazila say that sort of idea says that you can't ascribe evil to God, to an all glorious or all merciful, all compassionate, all wise, all just creator. That evil can't be prescribed to him. Therefore, he doesn't create evil. And so, to me, what I thought he was saying here is that in order to avoid holding God responsible, you take the reason as being dominant and saying that's not. In other words, because I can't understand it, I'm going to try to. I can't understand the idea of evil, as you said, Yusuf. What does it mean? What is the sort of hidden meaning or subtle message behind things I perceive to be evil? Because you can't actually sow evil out there. It's human perception. But because I don't understand it, and I can't accept that something I don't like or doesn't reach sort of match my expectations. For example, I don't want there to be injustice in the world. There to be any, not only a million people dying, but one person dying. That is a great evil. Or I can't understand why there is quote unquote like natural disasters, or why there's tyranny or genocide or war or poverty or famine, things like that. Because I can't ascribe that to God, I'm going to take the reason as being dominant, so to speak, and try to find a sort of reason or some sort of what I think is to be a rational explanation that sort of absolves him responsibility. Because the fundamental premise in that reason is that you are trying to hold God responsible, as you said. Like if I ascribe to him evil, it's almost as if I'm holding God responsible. How can you do something like this? How can you be so sort of mean and unjust? Rather than just taking the world for what it is as a message and looking back as pointing back to the creator, as what Berkan said. The perspective that the Mu'tazila take is from his perspective, saying, well, if I were God, well, I wouldn't be doing this, so therefore he can't be doing this. He could not have created war and famine. He could not have chose that or willed that into existence. So I wouldn't reason that he didn't, and that it's my choice, or it's the choice of human beings, and therefore I become the manager of my own affairs. That's what I understood from what he was saying here.
Yes, Jazakallah khair, very beautifully put. Just one repeating pattern in here that I observe. The author keeps saying, don't be grieved at their denial, say God's unreasoning animals are many. And here he says, nothing can come of the denials of self-centered people like that. So it goes on like this. And author is extracting this pattern, I guess, the way Quran is speaking one after the other with those arguments, because at the very beginning, the Prophet was being challenged. So let us remember that verse. So, أَمْ يَقُولُونَ شَاعِرٌ نَتَرَبَّصُ بِهِ رَيْبَ الْمَنُونَ, or do they say a poet, we await for him a calamity of time? قُلْ تَرَبَّصُوا فَإِنِّي مَعَكُمْ مِنَ الْمُتَرَبِّصِينَ, say, go on waiting, I'll be waiting with you. So this response was once said by Quran, so how he should be responding. In the rest, this response is not said. It's always, or do they say this, or do they say this, or do they say this? But the author is adding this as if it was meant to be said, but for keeping the speech short, or by not saying sentences, actually Quran is saying much more. This is how sometimes balagha works, as far as I understand. So as in verse number 31, it says, say, go on waiting, I'll be waiting with you. The author keeps adding those to the rest of the verses as well, for the rest of the conversation. He says, do not be grieved at their denial, say, God's unreasoning animals are many. Nothing can come out of denials of self-centered people like that. Don't care about them. So this translation is a little bit weird in here. You do not be deceived either. I wouldn't translate it like that. I would rather say you don't care about them. I guess you don't care about them would be a much better and accurate translation. So what does this tell me, though? How can I personally benefit from these supporting sentences or condolences that Quran is giving me? Is it that such ideologies, such claims are making me upset or making me insecure? Upset or insecure, the two are different. But is it these that Quran is as if telling me that there's no truth behind that anyways? Why are you getting upset? You shouldn't be, really, because there's no truth in it. Actually, the part that Farah was mentioning, this introduction part of the seventh ray, this is being explained in detail because let me see if he's still here. Yeah, he is here. Nazmul was actually once saying that if a person with white skin and with the title of a professor, especially if a biology professor, and even that person has a British accent, as they start speaking, my faith starts shaking, he was saying back in the day when he was an undergrad. And this is sort of a reality. Sometimes with those eloquent people with their titles, once they start speaking against certainty of faith, we might start getting either upset or think like what they say is actually hurting my certainty. But is it rightful to think so? What to say? Does it really challenge certainty of faith, or as Quran in here is within a single sentence, as if challenging them, saying that there is no truth behind this. Like, this is not even worthy to take serious because there is no basis of such claims. This is why the author, I guess, keeps saying, for example, for the idea of, or the treasuries of your sustainer with them, says only an unreasoning animal would say such a thing. This has nothing to do with reason, I guess this is what it means. Or if somebody is taking himself, herself to be the manager of affairs, to be center of the existence within their own perspective, and he is the person to judge the truth value of this existence, says nothing can come out of the denial of such self-centered people like that. So, because there is an inherent falsehood in this perspective, being self-centered, not thinking that there is a manager of the affairs, and I am trying to make sense of what he meant. And even my understanding of what he meant is going to be his creation, not my comprehension. So put this as my reality, and on the opposite side of it, see the self-centeredness. So since the very starting point is so much wrong, what sort of a thing are you expecting to come out of such self-centered people? So they might be big names, they might be like within the Islamic theology, Mu'tazilites were the smarter guys. Like they were not, they were coming up with argumentation with consistent logical arguments, trying to prove something. So like maybe the others were coming just with narration, but these guys were coming up with intellect. So these would be the ones that you would take the most serious, maybe. But the author is as if in here saying that, like the self-centeredness, what do you expect to come out of this self-centeredness? Because this is as if they put the first button wrong when buttoning their shirt. The rest is going to be wrong anyways. What do you expect to come out of that? So as if going to the very root of the problem and showing that nothing will come out of this anyway, so you don't need to worry about this. And then I guess I personally feel a lot under the pressure of such big names, big ideologies, mouthful of terminology, and being worried about, well, is this going to shake or right? Does it have any right to shake my faith, my conviction? I mean, I use faith in the sense of conviction, or is it totally baseless? Whatever they say on the surface, in the outside, the very basis of those claims are, there's nothing in there. So there's nothing to really be worried in this regard. So that being said, I will stop here. Any closing remarks, comments from you? If not, let's stop here. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. وآخر دعوانا